Okay, all right. Thank you for your patience, listeners. Our time has moved on now to 9 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock, and we're about to get started now with our feature, Real Estate Today. It's the second week running, and you can tune in every Wednesday morning at 8:05 for this new and exciting feature looking at the real estate market in Jamaica. And it's all courtesy of our sponsors, Howard Johnson Realty Limited, and of course HJ Property Management Limited. This morning we're looking at the impact of short-term rentals on real estate in Jamaica. And my first guest is the boss man who is in charge of ensuring that we have this very adequate sponsorship, Howard Johnson Jr. himself. Good morning, Howie. How are you doing today?
You should stop it, Richie. What's stopping? No, man. Respect, man. Thanks for having me again, as usual, man.
It is a pleasure, my brother. And a very important topic that we're looking at this morning, Howard, the impact of short-term rentals on real estate in Jamaica. Shall we start by maybe looking at like growth and trends in the short-term rental market in Jamaica? What is that like right now?
Well, let me tell you, the short-term rental impact on the real estate landscape in Jamaica has been significant over the years. And, I must commend our country for the activities that drive and attract the different tourists to our country, because between the food festivals, musical festivals, I saw it the other day at Reggae Sumfest,
yes,
right? And the different cultural events that we have, especially tomorrow being Emancipation and Independence Day coming up.
Yeah.
And we have so many things that are now bringing the traffic to Jamaica. And when they come to Jamaica, they not only just want an all-inclusive hotel, because they do that from time to time, but a lot of them want the authentic experience of living amongst the different communities and the different locals and enjoying the natural offerings of Jamaica. So we are a 365 day a year attraction, and with that comes tourism. Tourists every single day they're coming to the island. I mean, this show was planned long before yesterday, and just yesterday there's a popular YouTuber that mentioned that he is overwhelmed in Portland, your parish.
Yes.
Right? He's overwhelmed in Portland, not being able to find enough accommodations, short-term Airbnb type accommodations for his guests, and he has about 150 of them coming this weekend.
Wow.
So it has driven the real estate market into a space where you're seeing more developments, more houses being converted into different accommodations for this sort of rental market. You're seeing apartment buildings and condos going up just to accommodate this, and some of them are specific that this is designed for that, whereas others are saying this is not for that sort of thing. But the demand is as such that they're overwhelmed. So
Wow.
you're seeing the landscape across the island changing because of this phenomenon, this need for this short-term sort of accommodation.
So this is
so
obviously,
and it's all over. It's not in Jamaica. It's not just North Coast. It's all over Jamaica.
so all of this is obviously now giving us a good making a good economic impact locally. And many communities are in fact going to benefit from all of that's happening right now.
That's correct. I mean, you talk about local, you can't get more local than your next door neighbor getting monies from this sort of event, as opposed to another establishment that is miles away. So people are coming into communities. I can even tell you that even in Trenchtown, because of the history of Trenchtown and its affiliation with Bob Marley, during the initial opening of the movie, persons were coming just to get that experience, and they were renting places in Charter. Now you tell me which hotel in in Trenchtown, right? There's none, but they came, they went in the community, they spent their monies in the communities, and persons benefited. I mean, there was a photo shoot in the community recently, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. So it is driving a lot of attraction, and it is causing communities and individuals who typically would not be engaged at some other establishments or elsewhere, or have their small businesses in their local market, within their community. Now they're benefiting from this sort of influx into their communities. And not to mention the established apartment complexes that make accommodations for it, that gives you the authentic experience without, the stoic approach by some hoteliers.
Would you say the great majority of these listings are through Airbnb, or is it VRBO? Tell us.
I would say, a matter of fact, when you were growing up, diapers were called Pampers.
Yes.
Right? And it's a brand. And short-term rentals now are being referred to as Airbnb. It is not Airbnb. Airbnb is a platform that accommodates short-term rentals. So Airbnb is very popular. It was one of the first, and it has, thousands of listings on there for Jamaica. But there are other platforms, as you just mentioned, another one, VRBO, and other persons who are using different platforms, different databases that are promoting their properties and getting real traction. So Airbnb is just one platform, but it is spread all across the island in different elements or different databases that are on the space.
So while we talk about the opportunities that are presenting themselves through this medium, aren't there some challenges that go with it as well?
Yes, there are pluses and there are minuses, and unfortunately some of the minuses outweigh the pluses in some areas of our country. And some of the negatives that you would see is the nuisance that it comes with persons within a community, let's say a gated space community where they don't allow this sort of activity. Mm-hmm. And here comes an influx of persons who are now, lawless. They're disobeying the rules and regulations. They're not abiding to the bylaws that exist for this complex. And in other places, you will have a standalone unit, and it's in a nice, quaint area. You have criminals that are just moving about different communities that are renting some of these places under different guises. So it poses, yes, a security risk. It poses non-compliance to governance structures in different communities. So that's what you need, even with my company, HA Property Management Limited. We have to now start to help the owners to reinforce these rules and regulations for their community. But when done right, when persons are abiding, it is an awesome thing that drives attention and positive traction to our country.
I was really looking forward to having Minister Bartlett joining us this morning. Maybe he has an emergency that he had to attend to, but
I suspect so, because I'm getting messages on my phone indicating that he is slightly unavailable. But I'm hoping that I was hoping likewise that he would join, but we may have to just have a part two to get his perspective, because he has been to several functions that I've been a part of, primarily through the Realtors Association of Jamaica, where he spoke and is promoting the need for this sort of accommodation. So we were wanting to hear live and direct from him, and not just me, but he's an advocate. His ministry is an advocate and doing a very good job in creating the different elements and the different events that will attract the persons to our country, and with that, the need for short-term rental is also increasing. So, I probably at another time we'll bring him back on for part two and hear directly from his perspective.
Yeah, and maybe he could help us to sort of look at some of the communities that are doing particularly well, and where there's even greater potential that is not yet being fully explored. So we're looking forward to having him on sometime in the near future. So all in all, it's a positive development. It's a big trend, and there are great economic opportunities that present themselves, Howard, as it relates to short-term rentals in Jamaica. And would you say it's booming?
Yes, I would say it is booming, because every year we have more activities, we have greater activities, and the product of Jamaica keeps improving, and therefore the attraction keeps coming. And as you mentioned earlier about some of the communities, not taken away from part two, but there are some communities that you wouldn't have thought is getting the attraction now from our visitors. I mentioned one earlier, Trenchtown, but there are others all across the island they're just benefiting from the influx of tourism, and it's not mainstream. So you'll see the cruise ship arriving and people coming into Jamaica, and you hear Norman Manley and Sangster's airport. They're blowing their numbers, but where are these people going? And you'll be surprised to hear some of the stories of where some of these visitors end up, and the experience that they garner from these communities, and oftentimes they are repeat guests. They are looking to come back, so they'll come for a week, come for 2 weeks the next time, and it's just growing. So I would say it's booming. I can't hide that. I can't hide from that. It is booming. It is booming, and as a real estate company, we're benefiting from the sales because persons are now investing in accommodations for that sort of activity.
Yeah, and generally, when you interact with guests, what do they say? They find it to be a much more affordable option too.
Yes, always on a more affordable option. You get, in many instances, not all, but in many instances, you get true value for money. Because some of these people, they have even chefs that will cater to you with Jamaican cuisines. Not that our local hotels do not accommodate that, but when you see somebody frying a breadfruit and cutting coconut and, prepping all of these nice items for your meal, live and direct in front of you, it's a different experience than just joining a line and collecting the meal. So that experience is what they enjoy, and they love to be a part of that, just to see it live and direct. And not to mention the just the natural entertainment that comes. It may not have to be a band that comes in and play, but a corner shop start plays their music and start play some old Barry Hammond and say, wow, some Bob Marley, start rock. And they're in their rooms just hearing next door neighbor or just here in the corner shop. So those are just some of the experience that stimulates the interest of most of the visitors that come into our island.
Let us say now that there are several persons listening, as we know they are, and they are contemplating investing in a property in Jamaica for that purpose. Are there any regulatory considerations and or compliance issues that they have to bear in mind?
Yes, simply just understanding where that location is and what are the do's and don'ts for that location. And primarily, I think one of the biggest topics in our country is persons who are buying into communities that weren't established for that short-term rentals or have been misguided, and then they buy an apartment and the apartment says no short-term guests any at all, and the restrictive covenants on the titles is something that has been tested in the courts and in other for the tribunal of the Commissioner of Strata Corporations, where the rulings have been that short-term rental is deemed a business, and a restrictive covenant on the title says no trade or business. So therefore, even though your bylaws may say yes, you may go ahead and do it, your restrictive covenant may say no, it's not allowed. So you have to know. Do your due diligence to your attorneys or otherwise on your realtor, just to ensure that where you're buying or where you're investing for this sort of activity, it does accommodate for it, accommodate this activity. When it does, let me tell you, you get great returns. When it doesn't, it poses a challenge, and you see where your investment is not gaining what it usually should get if it was done right and in compliance.
All right. There's one other big ticket item in this feature that we must get to, but just to say very quickly that we can tell you that next week we will in fact be discussing the investment opportunities that abound in St. Thomas, a parish in the eastern end of the island. That is what we're focusing on next week. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. We're going to zoom in on the activities for St. Thomas because that too is gaining a lot of traction, and we need to let your listeners know and those in the diaspora understand what is happening in St. Thomas.
But before you go, Howard, as we wrap today's program, could we get into that highly anticipated feature, Going, but not yet gone? What you got for us today?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So, tomorrow is Emancipation Day, and a few days later is Independence Day is a few days after tomorrow.
Yes. And
you may be looking for a last-minute accommodation that, possibly would be an Airbnb location. We have a beautiful studio, fully furnished, in Tower Isle, St. Mary. It's less than about 5 minutes away from Ochiras, where you have Dunn's River and the Blue Hole, Dolphin Cove. All of those restaurants and golf courses, all of that is there. But this is a second floor studio apartment that has a beautiful ocean view. And they're renting this unit for $145,000 per month. But if you're looking for short-term rates, that too can be made available. We have had several interest in it. We just had guests moving out. We, again, going but not yet gone. We don't know if we got a booking last night. But if you're interested for that last-minute stay for Emancipation Day and or Independence Day or any time coming up for an event, just call us at our offices, 620-1457, and our agent, Shermaine Cunningham, will be more than happy to tell you more about this fully furnished studio in this gated community in St. Mary.
Sounds good. All right. And before you go, the social media handles, I want you to share those with us.
Okay, so on Instagram, you can get both. You can see both companies at HJ Realtors. That's at HJ Realtors for Howard Johnson Realty Limited, and at HJ Manage for HJ Property Management Limited. As I mentioned, our office hours 8:30 to 4:30. The number to reach us 620-1457, or just visit our website hjrealtors.com for the Howard Johnson Realty Limited brand, and hjmanage.co at the for HJ Property Management Limited. So that's hjmanage.co, not .com, but .co.
Okay.
And we look forward to hearing from you on anything real estate.
And by the way, this interview will be posted on our YouTube channel very soon at Richie B Radio. All right, Howard, it was great having you. We look forward. We got the apologies from Minister Bartlett, and we look forward to having him sometime soon. Thank you for sharing space with us this morning, and have a good day.
You too, more than welcome. Thanks for having us as usual.
All right, that was, of course, Real Estate Today.